Hello and welcome to Red Sports Talk. My name is Zach. We've officially made it through week 9 of the NFL season. In week 9, I went 10-3 with my picks, giving me an overall record of 87-47 on the season. And since we are past week 9, we are officially past the NFL trade deadline. So no more trades in the NFL. I will talk about some of them as I go through my picks. But for now, let's get into my predictions for NFL week 10. Week 10 kicks off Thursday night with an AFC West battle as the Vegas Raiders, who are 2-6, coming off of a very close overtime loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars, take on the Denver Broncos, who are 7-2, coming off a very close victory to the Houston Texans. For the Raiders, they actually just traded away their number one receiver, who actually plays receiver, in Jacoby Myers. They actually traded him to the Jacksonville Jaguars. So for the Raiders, now really their only main offensive weapon is Brock Bowers, who they did get back for that Jaguars game, and he had a terrific game. He really carried their offense throughout their game. When he's healthy, he is one of the best tight ends in the NFL and their best receiving option. It's the rest of the team has kind of been a little bit lackluster. And for the Denver Broncos, their defense played very well against Houston. Their offense struggled a little bit against a very good Houston defense, but ultimately they were able to pull out the victory. For this game, I am going to go with the Denver Broncos. I think their defense, as much as they might struggle with Brock Bowers, I think they're going to be able to slow down Ashton Jeanty. I think they're going to be able to get Geno Smith to make some mistakes, although they are without Pat Surtain, who is still out with an injury. I think defensively they should be able to still get after Geno Smith, make him make some mistakes offensively. And the Raiders defense, the only real big threat is Max Crosby. So I think offensively, Bo Nix should have a pretty good game. Just have to avoid going to Max Crosby's side. Bo Nix is mobile, so he can run around and get away from him if need be. So I do think the Denver Broncos will get this victory. Moving on to Sunday, we are back to Sunday morning football as the international series picks back up after a couple-week break, as we have now moved to Germany, as you have the 3-5 Atlanta Falcons coming off their very close 1-point loss to the New England Patriots, taking on the 7-2 Indianapolis Colts, who are coming off of a loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers, in which they did try to make it close at the end, but ultimately they had, I believe, 6 turnovers, 3 interceptions from Daniel Jones on a down game from Jonathan Taylor, and that really wound up costing them, especially those turnovers, which the Colts have been so good at avoiding for most of the season and all their other victories. The Indianapolis Colts actually also made a trade. They traded for cornerback Sauce Gardner to really shore up their defense, bringing in one of the better corners in the NFL to this week have a pretty good matchup against Drake London. For the Falcons, their offense again clicking pretty good. They struggled early against the Patriots, but came back and almost tied the game up. Were in position to tie the game up. Unfortunately, their kicker missed the extra point. Their defense played very well late in that game against the Patriots as well. But I think this is going to be a bounce back game for the Colts. I think Jonathan Taylor can have a very good game against this defense. And if Daniel Jones just does not turn the ball over, just plays a very efficient football, which he has done in all of their victories, then I think the Indianapolis Colts get the victory here. Moving on to Sunday afternoon, you have the New York Giants, who are 2-7, coming off of a loss to the San Francisco 49ers, taking on the Chicago Bears, who are 5-8, coming off of a shootout victory over the Cincinnati Bengals. For the Giants and their loss against the 49ers, they could not stop Christian McCaffrey. Although the Bears do not have anybody like a Christian McCaffrey, they are still a very talented offense. Although this Giants defense is very talented in their own rights, this Giants offense has a lot of struggles. I think the Bears defense can, kind of contain this Giants offense at least better than they did with the Bengals. And I think this Bears offense will continue to click, continue to improve. They'll hopefully get Swift back at running back. Although Kyle Monangai had an outstanding game in his absence, they kind of have with Monangai and Swift could kind of have their own versions of Sonic and Knuckles, like the Detroit Lions had with in Jahmyr Gibbs, or have Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. So I actually do think the Chicago Bears will get the victory here. I just don't trust this Giants offense to put up a bunch of points. Still because they were missing Cam Scatterbo. Their running game very much struggled, and Malik Neighbors, their passing game has its own struggles. Although Jackson Dart does play pretty well, but I don't think he plays well enough to get the victory. So I do think the Chicago Bears get the victory over the New York Giants. Next up, you have the Buffalo Bills, who are 6-2, coming off of their annual regular season victory over the Kansas City Chiefs, taking on the Miami Dolphins, who are 2-7, coming off of a loss to the Baltimore Ravens. The Dolphins actually also traded away pass rusher Jalen Phillips, so that's one less guy that can get after Josh Allen and help this struggling Dolphins defense. I'm going to go with the Bills for this game. It's a divisional matchup, so anything can happen, but this Giants defense has very much been struggling. They struggled so much against the Ravens with Lamar Jackson back. I think Josh Allen should be able to have a very good game. And I think this Bills defense that did play well against Kansas City can get after Tua, can make Tua make mistakes, can kind of slow down this offense of the Dolphins, which has had its struggles throughout the season. So I think the Buffalo Bills get the victory. Next up, you have the Baltimore Ravens, who are 3-5, coming off their victory over the Dolphins, taking on the Minnesota Vikings, who are 4-4, coming off a victory over the Detroit Lions, which J.J. McCarthy, who returned from his injury, played pretty well. Their defense and special teams was really the big difference maker for them in that game. As their defense forced Detroit to make mistakes. They had, I believe, a blocked field goal. So defense and special teams was one of the big keys to them winning that football game. For the Ravens, they got Lamar Jackson back for the Dolphins game. He played very well. Derrick Henry was able to run the ball very efficiently. This late season Derrick Henry is coming into his best form of the season. This is when he starts to play his best football with Lamar Jackson back and playing very good football. I do actually think the Ravens will get the victory here. Again, there are some concerns with their defense against this Vikings offense. Their defense has kind of struggled throughout the season, but I do think the Ravens have enough firepower on offense to win what could be a shootout against this Minnesota Vikings team. Next up, you have the Cleveland Browns, who are 2-6, coming off of a bye week, taking on the New York Jets, who are 1-7, also coming off a bye week. Or before that bye week, they did get a victory, their first victory of the year over the Cincinnati Bengals. The Jets are a team that did a lot of selling at the trade deadline. As I mentioned earlier, trading Sauce Gardner to the Colts. They also traded defensive lineman Quinnen Williams to the Dallas Cowboys. Earlier in the week, they had traded Michael Carter, the corner, to the Eagles. So, their defense has very much depleted by trades. Their defense has struggled this season. Their offense has very much struggled. And I think their offensive struggles continue against this very good defense of the Cleveland Browns. 2 weeks ago, when the Browns played the Patriots, Myles Garrett set a franchise record for 5 sacks in a single game. I think he can wreak havoc once again on this Jets team, whether it's Justin Fields or Tyrod Taylor in its starting quarterback. And I think the Cleveland Browns, if Quinshon Judkins is healthy, their running game will do very well against this team. If Quinshon is out, as he did suffer an injury at the end of the Patriots game, but it looks like he could be good to go. I think Dylan Sampson and Jerome Ford are serviceable backs that should be able to still play very well. I think Dylan Gabriel, as long as he plays efficient football and doesn't make a whole lot of mistakes, I like the Cleveland Browns to get the victory over the New York Jets. Moving on, you have the New England Patriots, who are 7-2, coming off of their victory over the Falcons, taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are 6-2, coming off of a bye week, hopefully looking to get healthier. Could hopefully have Bucky Irving and Chris Godwin back for this game for their offense, but it looks like Bucky Irving and Chris Godwin might not practice the first day of the week. For the Patriots, it's up in the air as to whether or not they will get Ramondre Stevenson back. Kayshon Boutte went out with a hamstring injury against the Falcons, and it's unclear whether he'll be able to play this week. So, both teams a little bit banged up, but I think this is going to be a very good game. This is a game that going into the season, especially with how bad the Patriots looked last season. He thought maybe you could chalk up as a very easy win for the Buccaneers. Patriots have been playing very good football this season. The Buccaneers obviously being injured, has not helped their team, although they've continued to win despite their injuries. This is, I think, could be game of the week. I think could be a very good, close game. Could be a very big offensive battle. Patriots also could be without Christian Gonzalez, who got hurt against the Falcons. That could possibly mean good things for Emeka Egbuka coming off of a bye week. A couple of down games after dealing with a hamstring injury of his own. I am going to go with the Patriots to get the victory here. I think that New England is playing very good football. I think Drake May is playing good football. If Drake May doesn't turn the ball over like he did against the Falcons, he had a couple of turnovers against the Falcons, but they still found a way to win. If he does that this week, I don't think they'll be able to overcome the Buccaneers. But I think Drake May can hang on the ball, don't have bad turnovers. I think this offense can score with most teams in the NFL, can go toe-to-toe with almost anybody in the NFL right now. This defense hopefully can get after Baker Mayfield, can hopefully slow down this banged-up offense of the Buccaneers. I do think the New England Patriots will get the victory in what could be a very good game. Next up, you have the New Orleans Saints, who are 1-8, coming off of a loss to the LA Rams, taking on the Carolina Panthers, who are 5-4, coming off of a very close victory over the Green Bay Packers. The Saints are the team that did some selling at the trade deadline. They traded away wide receiver Rashid Shaheed. They sent him to Seattle. So that's one more offensive piece that they're missing for their rookie quarterback. And for the Panthers, their offense had its own struggles, but Rico Dowdle has looked tremendous. He got basically the full workload last week, continued to look very good. Defensively, they're playing very good football, are able to disrupt Jordan Love, are able to slow down what is usually a very good offense of the Green Bay Packers. So I think the Carolina Panthers get the victory here over the Saints. I just think the Panthers' run game is playing tremendous right now. I think their defense should be able to get after Tyler Shough. I don't have a whole lot of hope for the Saints offense as it is. So I think Carolina can get the victory over the New Orleans Saints. Next up, you have the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are 5-3, coming off their close overtime victory over the Raiders last week. Which in that game, the first points for the Jaguars actually came on a 68-yard field goal by Cam Little to break the NFL record. Just wanted to throw that out there. And they're taking on the Houston Texans, who are 3-5, coming off their very close loss to the Denver Broncos. In that game, they lost C.J. Stroud due to a concussion. Looks like he may not be able to go this week. Not bode well for them. Although the Texans were able to stay in that game against the Broncos because of their defense. Their defense has been fantastic. I don't know if I can trust their offense with Davis Mills starting. I would have more confidence if I knew CJ Stroud was playing, but with how their offensive line has not been good, gives up a lot of pressures. I do think the Jaguars will win this game. I think it could be a very low-scoring, kind of ugly game, as the Jaguars' offense does tend to make mistakes. And this Houston defense should be able to exploit that. But I think they can do enough to barely outscore a lackluster Texans offense. So I do think the Jaguars will get the victory here. Next up, you have the Arizona Cardinals, who are 3-5, coming off of a victory over the Dallas Cowboys, which Jacoby Brissett once again started, and he's actually been announced to continue to be the starter for this game against the Seahawks. He's looked very good in the starts that he's had. Their offense has looked better with Jacoby Brissett than it did with Kyler Murray at quarterback. They're taking on the Seattle Seahawks, who are 6-2, coming off of a very big win over the Washington Commanders, in which Sam Darnold played an almost perfect game. He actually played a perfect first half, 4 touchdown passes in the first half. Their offense was just clicking on all cylinders. Their defense playing tremendous, able to slow down the Commanders' offense. Their defense has played very good all season. The only down game has really been against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is a game that I think will be competitive. I think the Cardinals can make it competitive. They played a very competitive game earlier in the season, but I do think the Seahawks get the victory. I think their defense just is playing too well. As good as Jacoby Brissett has played, I don't think he is a talented enough quarterback to carry this offense to a victory over such a good defense. And I think the Seahawks offense, with the addition of Rashid Shaheed, who is a big play receiver who can bust a massive touchdown catch at any point in time, in addition to JSN, who is playing like the best receiver in football right now, Torrey Horton, their rookie wide receiver, looking like he's ready to break out. Their running game continuing to play good enough, and Sam Darnold playing some of the best football of his career. I do think that the Seattle Seahawks can get the victory over the Arizona Cardinals. Next up, you have the LA Rams, who are 6-2, coming off of their victory over the Saints, taking on the San Francisco 49ers, who are 6-3, coming off of their victory over the New York Giants. For the Niners, they're still very beat up, but finding ways to win when they can feed Christian McCaffrey. And the Rams are still playing very good all-around football. The defense continues to play very well. Matthew Stafford is playing like a top quarterback in the NFL. Puka Nacua is playing terrific. Although he left the game at the Saints with a rib injury, it's unclear whether or not he will play this week. But even without him, their offense continues to play very well. It's another game that I think could be very close, could be a very good game, could come down to the wire. Last time these two teams played earlier in the year, it went into overtime with the Niners getting the close victory. However, I think the Rams can get the victory this time. Brock Purdy may play in this game, but it could once again be Mac Jones. I do think that the Rams defense can get after whoever plays quarterback for the 49ers, and as long as they can limit Christian McCaffrey's touches, or limit Christian McCaffrey yardage, can just kind of slow down Christian McCaffrey and have him not be able to be their only option in the offense. They have to try and spread the ball out to other players. I think the defense can slow down the offense. I think this offense of the Rams is playing terrific. I think they will be able to take advantage of a very injured Niners defense, which actually lost their first-round pick, Michael Williams, with a torn ACL. So he's out for the season. So that's more, injuries happening to this defense. So I do think the Rams will get the victory over the 49ers. Next up, you have the Detroit Lions, who are 5-3, coming off of their loss to the Minnesota Vikings, taking on the Washington Commanders, who are 3-6, coming off of their loss to the Seattle Seahawks. In that game, they actually lost starting quarterback Jaden Daniels to a dislocated elbow. So he's going to miss some time. He's not going to be available for this game. It's up in the air whether Terry McLaurin will be back for this game, as he's been dealing with his own hamstring injury. So I like the Lions in this game. The Commanders are too banged up. They don't have their starting quarterback, maybe without their best wide receiver. This Lions offense played very well against Minnesota with some struggles. Jahmyr Gibbs didn't have that great of a game, but I think he could bounce back against this Commanders defense. I think this Lions defense should be able to get after Marcus Mariota, slow down this banged up Commanders offense. I do think that the Detroit Lions will get the victory here. Next up, you have the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are 5-3, coming off their victory over the Indianapolis Colts, taking on the LA Chargers, who are 6-3, coming off of a very close victory over the Tennessee Titans. For the Chargers, they actually lost starting tackle Joe Alt in that game. He is out for the season as he has to have season-ending ankle surgery. They did trade for offensive lineman Trevor Penning from the Saints, although I don't know how much that helps them. He is somebody that very much struggled during his time with the Saints and wound up being moved from tackle to guard. He's probably going to get moved back out to tackle for the Chargers because they don't really have anybody there. Also against the Titans, their run game struggled. Kimani Vidal could not get anything going. For the Steelers, their defense looked very good against the Colts. They were able to get after Daniel Jones, force him to force him to throw interceptions, get him to fumble a couple times. The rookie Jack Sawyer looked to get more involved in this defense. But I do like the Pittsburgh Steelers to get the victory here, mostly off of the strength of their defense and their pass rush specifically. I think TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith have been playing very well. Now with Jack Sawyer, their rookie, getting more involved and being able to generate his own pressures, that's just another player that can hurt another team's offense. And their offense playing good enough. I think they should be able to do enough against this Chargers defense. Although the Chargers defense has been playing well, but I think the Steelers can squeak out kind of a hard-nosed, close victory against the LA Chargers. And finally, on Monday Night Football, you have the Philadelphia Eagles, who are 6-2, coming off of a bye week. Before that, coming off of a victory over the New York Giants, taking on the Green Bay Packers, who are 5-2-1, coming off of their loss to the Carolina Panthers. Philadelphia Eagles made a couple of trades. As I mentioned, they traded for Michael Carter from the Jets. They traded for Jalen Phillips from the Dolphins to add to their pass rush. They also traded for Jair Alexander from the Ravens, who has not played much this season, but we'll see if he suits up for them this week. It is a game against his old team. This is a game that I think could be a very good game, but I am going to go with the Eagles to get the victory. I think that Jalen Hurts has been playing terrific. They should hopefully get A.J. Brown back in this game, as he missed the Giants game with an injury. Saquon Barkley got banged up against the Giants, but he looks like he could be good to go. This offense should be clicking on all cylinders now. Defense adding another young pass rusher to help with their team. So I do think that this Eagles team should be able to get after Jordan Love, can hopefully slow down this offense of the Packers that struggled a lot against the Carolina Panthers, and then can hopefully get their run game going against what had been a very good run defense for Green Bay, but they have struggled recently. So I do think the Philadelphia Eagles will get the victory over the Green Bay Packers. Let me know in the comments who you guys think are going to win this week. For games you're very much looking forward to. For me, it actually is the Patriots and Buccaneers. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Till next time.